Hello, I'm Jay Watson. Welcome to Your Fantastic Mind. Knowing that reading can shape a child's future, a program was created by the Atlanta Speech School, a nationally recognized leader in early childhood language development, in partnership with the Georgia Department of Public Health and Grady Hospital in Atlanta. It's been taught to thousands of families, and it's changing outcomes. It's called Talk With Me Baby. Every life begins the same way: a breath, a cry, and a question.
Every baby ever born for thousands and thousands of years, in their first breath, asks themselves the question, am I safe? In their second breath, they ask themselves, am I connected?
What happens next in those first moments, hours, days, may shape everything that follows, because long before a child speaks, they are already listening, already learning, already building a brain. At Grady Hospital in Atlanta, something remarkable has been unfolding for nearly a decade. A simple idea, so simple it almost feels too obvious.
Open your eyes, Bubba.
Talk to your baby.
Well, hello, Mr. Cameron. If no one's told you yet, happy birthday. We're so glad you're here.
This is Talk With Me Baby, a program that begins before a child is even born and continues through those first critical years of life. Its premise is rooted in both science and something deeper.
That every parent wants their child to have a better life than them. It's just a matter of human nature.
You could see him, though. He's like fluttering. He's trying.
But for many families, belief in that possibility, that agency, has been lost. Talk With Me Baby is about giving it back. In the final months of pregnancy, a baby can already hear the rhythm of a mother's voice, the patterns of language, even the building blocks of speech. From that moment on, the brain is wiring itself at astonishing speed.
1, 2, 3. That's also when the baby's language centers start to develop in their brain as well. Of course, they don't fully understand language and words and things like that, but they start to get the basics of communication and sounds and relating those sounds to different actions and feelings inside in utero.
Connections forming, circuits strengthening.
Brain is creating so many circuits during this window that it can't hold all of them. It would look like our attic if it did. And so the brain is pruning off the connections that aren't being developed.
What remains becomes the foundation for everything.
There's Rosie in a popsicle. I know, it looks so yummy.
Learning, behavior, emotional health. And at the center of it all is language.
Will you help me get some water?
Language is the fundamental thing that helps a baby's brain grow and develop. So all of that language is literally helping to connect billions of brain cells.
This isn't just about talking at a baby, it's about something called serve and return, a conversation before words exist. A baby serves with a look, a sound,
Yeah, I know.
a movement of their hands or eyebrows, and the adult returns.
Oh, no. What is it? What is it, friend? Hey, Cameron.
Back and forth, response and recognition, a relationship.
You can literally have a conversation with a baby who can't yet talk.
I think they're gonna bark, 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 bark.
This back and forth does more than bond a parent and child. It builds the architecture of the brain. And just as importantly, it tells that baby you are safe, you are seen, you matter.
I like it. It's so yummy.
In other words, before a child ever reaches a classroom, their trajectory may already be set. At Grady, they've redefined what it means to deliver a healthy baby. Not just heart rate, not just weight, but brain development.
A healthy delivery at Grady includes newborns leaving their birthing center with a family who can provide the necessary language nutrition for the child's development of healthy brain development.
So we're meant to be brain to brain with someone else. Like humans are relational people, right, and creatures, so that we need that connection. And without that connection, our brains cannot thrive.
Here,
So this is
every
something I
nurse
really
is a
love about
coach,
Talk With Me Baby.
every interaction a lesson.
But to be able to role model it and encourage it.
It's called narration, talking through the ordinary moments of the day.
Let's go put out the strawberries here so we can cut them.
You can say, oh, we're going to be making spaghetti tonight. Let me go find that spaghetti. I guess we're going to have to heat up some water, and just literally talking through everything that you're doing. The baby is literally storing all of those words.
It's like right now he's pretty relaxed.
Words become meaning, meaning becomes understanding, understanding becomes opportunity.
When they're really ready or they're starting to wake up, they'll tone and get a little bit more rigid.
This isn't a pamphlet handed out at discharge. It's lived, modeled, practiced.
It's as certain as whether babies should sleep on their backs or on their stomachs. So once you know the science, why wouldn't every effort be made for that change to happen the next day?
And it's a good way to make those tiny little deposits in their brain.
From nurse to parent,
Hey, Cameron. You say hi.
from parent to child. It works. Over the past 9 years, more than 30,000 families have been part of Talk With Me Baby.
We were so pleased to see in the study that the parents that we had coached were still practicing the skills that we taught them, even as their babies were getting older. And we were even more thrilled to find out that our babies are doing at or above average in their language skills.
You are so sweet. Did you have a good nap, buddy?
8-week-old Jack and his mom, Caroline, already in conversation.
You want to sit? Goodness, what are you doing?
I feel like I talked to him, but until I'd read something about how it's important to talk when you're doing even the mundane stuff throughout the day, I never really thought about doing that, during those tasks, especially when I wasn't holding them and looking at them.
What are we going to make for dinner tonight?
Basically tell them what you're doing, kind of like narrate the different things you're doing throughout the day. And at first it felt kind of funny, but then now it's a little more natural.
You see the puppy dog? I know.
What once felt like effort becomes instinct.
You want to go on a walk today?
He lights up just as I'm talking to him about stuff, so.
What do you want to do tomorrow?
I think it made a difference. I do think it made a difference. And I do think it bonds you in a way, too, that you don't, think about. Just chit-chatting. It's like your little buddy, your little sidekick.
To better understand the real-world long-term impact of Talk With Me Baby, we came to Boston to speak with a Harvard researcher who studied the program and an expert on why early language nutrition is so critically important for babies.
I'm really interested in how to really make lives better for particularly vulnerable children and families in their communities, particularly when they've experienced trauma.
One of the things that's the most amazing is
Dr. Kathy Ayub at Harvard's Brazelton Touchpoint Center studies how early experiences shape a child's life. So she and her team look closely at years of data from Talk With Me Baby.
They would talk about brain nutrition, they would talk about communication, and it's all documented in the medical record.
Maybe you're hungry, let's try that.
Mothers in the program didn't just hear the message once.
Their whole body is preparing to communicate, to tell you something.
On average, they had about 10 meaningful exposures to Talk With Me Baby education during their care.
Hey, is anybody here? Can they hear me and see me? And you're going, I got you, man. What you need?
Ayub's team followed up at home to see what stuck, reaching out to more than 5,000 families. And more than 1,400 parents responded, completing detailed surveys and standardized assessments of their children's communication skills.
We saw in the parents of 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, which means that these parents were sustaining these practices. And so that was really important, because one of the things you look for when you look at you implement any kind of an intervention is it going to fade? Is it going to go away? And we know that most of the time it does. But with Talk With Me Baby, there's no fade.
Talk With Me Baby years later, still in practice.
As they get a little bit older, you'll start seeing it soon as the smiles.
And then the outcomes.
I have to say that I was surprised, and I think my research team was surprised at the findings from Talk With Me Baby. They were just so over the top, to the place where we were thinking we would find some differences, right? And then you can do statistics to compare the differences, and my statisticians would get all excited. My statisticians were really bored. It's like everybody is doing well.
You want to make some dinner? Should we go to the grocery store and get our stuff? Yeah.
By the time these children were 4 or 5, only 2% of the children had atypical behavior, and that is much lower than the national average, than what we know across the country, which in terms of, which is almost 15, can be 15 to 20%.
You're getting so strong.
A remarkable result. And maybe even more surprising,
What we found was that Talk With Me Baby works for everybody. And we really worked to try to discredit that. We really did. And so what we could say is that this is a universal intervention. In other words, it works for everyone.
And he was advanced.
a universal intervention, a rare find in early childhood. Ayub says the program's success comes down to execution. Grady Hospital didn't just introduce the concept, they trained staff deeply and followed up with families, creating repeated, meaningful touchpoints. But what may be most powerful is what this kind of language is really doing, because this isn't just about words, it's about connection.
Language communicates connection, right? So it's a way that a parent shows attachment as well. So these critical questions that children have, right? Is this world safe? Can I rely on you? Is there someone who will care for me? Language is a way of communicating. I'm here. I see you. You're valuable. You're worthy. You're meaningful to me.
Renee Boynton Jarrett is a pediatrician and Boston University researcher whose work focuses on how early childhood trauma and adversity shape lifelong health and development.
In the still face experiment with
In one well-known experiment at Brazelton Touchpoints, a mother plays with her baby, smiling, responding, engaging.
this baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby.
Then she stops. Her face goes still. No response, no return. Within seconds, the baby changes. Confusion, distress, an urgent need to reconnect. It's known as the still face experiment, studied here in Boston, and it reveals something fundamental. Language is relationship.
I'm here. And what are you doing? All of those factors create a sense of fear, fright, loss. And so emotionally, it's stressful and taxing for the infant, even in that small still face experiment of a moment, a few moments.
A baby reaches out, and when an adult responds, the brain builds. When that response is missing, the brain shifts into survival mode.
And that impacts how your brain grows and develops. So if the world is unsafe, your attention becomes focused on safety, right? And you can't spend as much attention on creativity and learning and mastery and exploration, because the basic need of being safe and becomes the predominant focus.
That's what Talk With Me Baby is really doing, not just teaching parents to talk, but helping them connect from the very beginning. A fair chance, not determined by zip code or income or education, but by something every parent already has, a voice.
It's transformative, it's nurturing. It sets the foundation for healthy relationships, future relationships.
Those moments add up to language, to learning, to possibility, to everything that follows.
Oh, I think it sets them on a path that can make all the difference in the world.